What's happening with the Nvidia stock? I will provide a detailed overview and forecast of what might happen. Let's look at the volatility, examine the volatility smile. We'll also analyze the strikes. Let's start from the beginning. The Nvidia stock has been consolidating in recent weeks. We've seen significant growth. Again, there were two periods of growth. The first one started around October or December 2022, and it lasted until around the summer of 2023. During this period, the Nvidia stock rose by 250%. Then there was a fairly long consolidation for about half a year where Nvidia didn't move much. And then, starting from the new year of 2024, the Nvidia stock surged significantly, another 110% increase. So we see there were several phases of growth. What will happen next? I assert that any stock cannot grow indefinitely. And in my personal view, either the Nvidia stock has approached its maximum or it is soon to approach it. In other words, its growth potential is nearing its end. Options tell us about this primarily. Let's look at the volatility and the volatility of options. The first, as strange as it may seem, pay close attention to this important signal that options are sending us, the market's mood, that volatility on the Nvidia stock continues to rise. Think about it. At the moment we are in consolidation, the Nvidia stock isn't moving anywhere. It's neither rising nor falling. But for some reason, the volatility on this stock continues to rise. I'll explain what's going on and what we can expect from it a bit later. Let's look at the volatility smile right away. The near-term strikes show a smile indicating both upward and downward direction. However, the far-term strikes show a significant downward skew in volatility smile. Let's talk about the implications of options. We see a significant increase in volatility at the $500 and $250 levels. Also notice that towards the call side, volatility remains almost flat, not increasing much. Let's also compare implied and historical volatility. We can see that implied volatility is currently much higher than historical value. This could indicate that sooner or later volatility will return to its normal levels, and this means it will decrease. From this, we can draw the conclusion and formulate a very sound strategy through options. The strategy would be to capture and sell all the accumulated volatility. If it decreases, we can profit from it. Let's look at the options volume. As we see, the main volume is concentrated at the $900 and $1,000 levels for call options. It's crucial to pay attention to this. We can also see that put options are concentrated at the $900 and $800 levels. What can I say about the volume at $900 and $1,000? Remember what gamma squeeze is. Usually these are retail investors looking to make easy money, and market makers sell these options to them, and the market makers hedge with stocks. That is, they buy the underlying asset and use options on the company. They employ a delta-neutral hedging strategy, which is a dynamic strategy. The more options they sell, the more they need to hedge. And you think all this movement was due to positive gamma. That is, market makers bought this stock to hedge their risks and pushed it forward and forward. They pushed until the delta leveled out. And what could happen now? As we see, colossal volumes are concentrated on weekly options. That is, if Nvidia doesn't rise in the coming week and the options expire worthless. But, for example, the 900 strike options will expire worthless. There is a very high probability that Nvidia will sharply start to decline. This is because market makers will need to close out all the hedge they accumulated. Again, I remind you of my philosophy. I don't know where the stock will go. I have no idea. I immediately warn you. But based on some factors, based on some data, there is a high probability that Nvidia may start to decline and start to decline very quickly. But I remind you of my philosophy. The most important thing is smart position management and smart risk management. That's where success comes from. I also want to say that the risk-reward ratio is not in favor of Nvidia. I personally am not buying this stock right now and staying away from it because, well, even if it rises to $1,000, how much can you make? $100. But it could drop very sharply, for example, to $700, to $600, and continue further. Are you ready to take that risk? Yes, of course, you can make money, but the risk-reward ratio is not in your favor, and the expected value will also not be in your favor. You just need to read books and understand how it works. Yes, you can win a couple of times, but mostly in the long run, you will lose if the expected value is not in your favor. What's happening with Nvidia's stock now? Especially considering we have such a huge volume of unrealized options. I strongly urge you to pay attention to this. It's very important. Let's then move on to devising some strategy for Nvidia's stock. There's this interesting strategy, but again, under no circumstances should you repeat this strategy after me. I won't open it up solely shown for informational purposes, but as we see in any movement, you make money. But if the stock starts to fall very sharply, you can start losing money. And managing this strategy will require buying options, hedging. Never repeat this, just for understanding how you can profit from it. Let's continue discussing Nvidia's stock. I'm saying the potential for movement is exhausted, and I wouldn't risk buying Nvidia's stock now. I agree that there's a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence right now, but again, Nvidia has grown by 700%, which is a lot. And sooner or later, there will obviously be a deep correction here. How deep it will be remains to be seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if we easily reach $500. I also advise you to watch this video. It talks about the 5 stock. And the profit potential there is much more interesting than what Nvidia offers at the moment.